Hello and welcome to SAP BusinessObjects Lumira. My name is Frank Almonte, and today we are going to see how to choose an effective visualization to reinforce your message when telling your story. Choosing the right visualization technique is one of the most important steps when creating your story. It is crucial to pay attention to it because if you choose the wrong visual, it could cause confusion or mislead the interpretation of your data. Most important thing when creating your story is to have a clear purpose. You need to make clear what do you want your audience to know. Then choose a visualization that will help you to make your point. So, what would be the right visualization to get my message across? When thinking of the data insights you want to bring to light, there are basic rules that you need to follow. Rule number 1. Know your audience and what you want them to know. Making this clear will already give you a hint of what to show, and depending to whom are you going to pitch to, you will need to adapt your message. For example, if your audience is top executive level, you will need to use information related to the decision-making process to get your message across. In the other hand, if your audience is a group of experts, they will require a higher level of detail as you will need to prove your theory. If you're talking to a group of managers, most probably their interest will be more focused on results. For example, to compare plan versus reality, predict trends and forecasting, and measuring performances. Now, if you're pitching a group of generalists, your message must be structured in a way to give a global view of the situation and then bring your point. If your audience is a novice group, then your message needs to be put together as an introduction for people that don't know much about the subject, so you can easily engage with them. Rule number 2. Use relevant data. Data is what matters, and it is the pillar of your whole point. If you present a visual display with insightful information, no one will get bored, and you will definitely get the attention of your audience. To present your data, you can leverage visual support to make your point. For example, you can use tables, infographics and charts, maps, and alphanumeric visualizations. We will get through them later on. Rule number 3. Use visualizations that leverage precognitive attributes. I would like to stop here for a second and explain what is it about. Precognitive attributes are those part of the visual that does not require high level of processing to see and understand. For example, it could be the orientation, the length, the width, angle, size, color, intersection, position of shapes and objects, and directions. The goal here is to preload as much as important information as possible using these attributes. Now let's get through them. There are many different data visualization types that you could leverage when telling your story, but a handful will work very well for the majority of your need. Let's quickly get through them. Tables. Tables are great if you need to communicate multiple different units of measures, which is easier than doing it with a graph. It is also a great tool to show and compare exact values. Let's have a look into the best practices. First of all, data must take the center stage, so avoid heavy borders or shades. Leverage conditional formatting to emphasize values you want to highlight. Also note that using a table for a live presentation is not recommended. It will distract the audience and you will not have their attention when making your point verbally. Bar and column charts. Bar and column charts are the perfect illustration of precognitive attributes. They are very simple, and for the viewer, it is very easy to recognize which is the biggest, which is the smallest, and the difference between them. They are also extremely easy to read, especially if the category names are long, as the text is written from left to right, making it easy to read for the audience. Bar and column charts are used for ranking data, comparing categorical values, or comparison of items over time. Let's get through the best practices. When using a bar chart, always start the y-axis at 0 to reflect clearly the values in your graph. Use consistent color throughout the chart, selecting accent colors to highlight meaningful data points or change over time, and use horizontal labels to improve readability. Line charts. The line charts displays continuous data over a time period, such as days, months, quarters, years, and are usually used to show trends in the relationship between them. They can also show single or multiple series of data plotted in intervals. Let's have a look into the best practices. On your line chart, use solid lines only. For a multiple series of data in a line chart, you should not plot more than 4 lines. It would lead to confusion and it's not easy to read. Add a reference line to smooth trends over the time, Also, when graphing time, use consistent data. For example, if showing decades, only use decades. If using years, only plot years. So the distance between the points are always the same. If you want to bring it to the next level, you can also add a forecast line to emphasize future trends. Geographic maps. Geographic maps are used for supporting location-based comparisons. It is typically used for viewing measures by country, region, or city, comparing measure across different geographic areas. Note that you can also use a palette of color to reflect the values. Heat maps. Heat maps are often used to show distribution and hierarchical relationship between the dimensions. Alphanumeric visualizations are also a great support to present your data. They are very visual and great to outstand a key figure. For example, you can display text data in a tag cloud, and the size and the color of the values reflects the measure of the values. Numeric points. The fact that you have some numbers does not necessarily mean that you need a chart. When you have just a number or two to share, displaying a numeric point is a great way to reflect what you want to say. For example, use the numeric point as prominent as possible with a few supporting words to make your message clear. I also add an extra slide showing all the types of visualizations that are commonly used. In this case here, we will see a radar chart, also known as a spider net chart, and it is used to display multiple criteria for different variables. Before concluding, I would like to share with you some tips that will help you to excel when telling your story with data visualization. Always pick the simplest visualization model to get your message through. Use the fewest number of data points possible to avoid distraction and confusion. Let the visual element speak for themselves and let them carry the weight of your message. And to conclude, I would like to say that there are many different types of visual displays that could meet a given need. And when wondering about what visualization to use, remember that the most effective one is the easiest for your audience to read. This is it for now. I hope you have enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you are interested in getting deeper into the visual stories or data storytelling subjects, I would recommend Cole Nussbaumer's blog, Storytelling with Data, and Dan Rome's book, Back of the Napkin. Thank you very much, and goodbye. For additional learning content, visit our website saplumira.com.